Hey, hi everyone. So nice to see you guys this evening. I'm here, Mavra from Remoto. We are an AI and community driven platform that is working to revolutionize remote work by reducing bias and making remote work as accessible as ever. And we are currently partnering with Lexidy Law Boutique. It's a legal tech boutique that works with immigration, business, real estate, tax in Spain. And you guys know the topic of this event. It's about global mobility, particularly in regards to Spain. I will be passing on right now the mic to Sarah to introduce Lexity in more detail and let you know more about what kind of services they offer and who they are.
Hello, thank you, Mavra. So Lexidy, it's a legal tech boutique that was created to simplify customers' life, and the firm's aim has always been to make law simple. We are on a mission to transform the legal industry by connecting the world one city at a time, allowing anyone to move effortlessly, elevating the experience between client customer and lawyers in order to go borderless. This journey began on 2015, where led by our CEO, Federico Richardson, who started by opening an office in Barcelona with the aim of providing legal services to international clients. And 8 years and 7 offices later, we are, thanks to the support of our client and our 86 professionals that make up Lexidy, we have reached a global expansion with jurisdiction in countries such as Portugal, Greece, Italy, France, Spain, and many more to come. So right now I'm going to pass on to my colleague Sandra, who will explain about the Global Mobility Department.
Yeah, good afternoon. This is Sandra from Lexidy, and it is a pleasure to be here with you. We first want to especially thank Remoto for giving us this opportunity to introduce our new department. Because from Lexidy, we firmly believe in this initiative, and we have been working for many months to make this possible. So we are very happy to be able to present it today here. So, in this sense, what is global mobility? Well, global mobility is the department specialized in all the areas of law involved in the posting of a worker, providing advice and management of the international mobility matters. And what are the main objectives of this department? The first objective will be to adapt to the new challenges of an international world. As we all know, we are lucky to live in a world that is promoting mobility policies, which is very interesting for talent retention and for business projects. Additionally, in the last years, we have realized that remote work is something that provides flexibility and the opportunity to work anywhere. The second objective will be providing legal coverage in all matters involved in an assignment. From Lexidy, with the creation of this department, we are facing the new challenges present in the market, which is to deal with all the legal issues involved in the posting, covering both the employee and the employer, either from the European Union or a third state to Spain, or from Spain to another country. And finally, the third objective will be offering a coordinated service. In this sense, global mobility offers a complete services with the advantage of having a coordinated team that will jointly handle your case and the case of your employee. Our communication and our ability to adapt to each case are the cornerstones of our services. But what are exactly the legal implications of a posting? Well, when someone is moving to one country to another, firstly, it is needed an immigration analysis to decide which type of permit is the most suitable depending on the situation. Secondly, we will need to assess regarding the Social Security matters, which can entail the management of the Spanish Social Security contribution to the request of a certificate of coverage. Thirdly, we will need to count on a specialized labor team to study the labor legislation. And the last point will be study the tax implications at all levels in order to know the legal duties of the employer and of the employees. As we can see, given the large number of services involved in the posting of a worker, this department is interested for companies that are seeking legal assistance, and all this labor, immigration, social security, and tax topics will be the ones we will focus on today to give an overview of the legal context of global mobility. So, in this sense, my colleague Sarah Fraile from the Labor Department will start explaining the labor implications of a posting.
Okay, so thank you, Sandra. As Sandra well said, this is a unique opportunity that you can either take from the European Union or from outside the Union. Why is this important? Because your employer, regardless the place where you are living in Europe, can send you to work temporarily to another EU country. And during this period, what you will do is to acquire the status of posted worker and enjoy the same basic rights and working conditions as workers in the host country. This will mean that, for example, a French worker will be working in Spain with the same condition than the other Spanish workers. So we have two different postings, which will be the posting of workers for workers within the European Union for less than 12 months, and then workers in the European Union for more than 12 months. So the labor duties regarding the employer will be the most important one. It's to compliance with the minimum conditions set out in Spain in Spanish employment legislation. This is why you need a labor assessment on this matter, because what you would need to do is to guarantee that your workers will be working in Spain, regardless the place where you are actually providing your services, and you will need to give them the same conditions as Spanish people have. For example, salary, the working hours, the permits that we have here in Spain, prevention of occupational risks, all these kind of things. So the aim is that no one can post a worker from their country to Spain earning less than what is required by the Spanish law, or working more hours than what it is stipulated here in the Spanish law. So the main duty that the company has is to make a communication to the labor authorities here in Spain. This will be that you as a company will have to say to the local authority here in Spain that you will be posting a couple of workers. It can be one, it can be 10, it can be 30, it doesn't matter. And you will need to write down a couple of data on this communication, which will be, for example, the identification of the company carrying out of the posting, the personal and professional details of each posted worker, the identification of the company in which the posted worker will be working, the start date and the expected duration of the posting, and many other interesting data that the labor authority will need to know. And the thing is that you do not need to an approval from the labor authorities. You will just receive, your only duty is to communicate. You do not need them to tell you, hey, you are fine, you can come to Spain. You just have to communicate and proceed with the posting of the worker. So this is very good because you do not need an authorization from the local authorities here. Nevertheless, this has let's say a bad side, because you are telling the local authorities that you will be having workers here. So there is a possibility that the local authorities will show up to review all the working visas, the contracts, etc. But it is a very good opportunity to post workers for short term to Spain. So what are the obligation of the posted employees? Well, there is an obvious tax obligation regarding the residents here, the fiscal residents, and this is something that Maria will be speaking about later. And then there is a period of time that it's more than 3 months, where you will have to speak to the immigration office and say, hey, I am living here for more than 3 months, let's say 6, 7. But this is a communication to the immigration office. There is no authorization in between. Then there is an opportunity that you can post a worker for more than 12 months which can be 18 months in case of if you want, if there is a motivated reason, which is a communication that will have to be made also to the local authorities saying, hey, so we need 3 more months to be working here in Spain. So this will be a total amount of 16 months because we need it for a period of compliance, some kind of thing like that. So the same requirements are met. So you will need to make the communication, the posting of the workers, etc. But there is a possibility that you can post them for 18 months if there is a motivated reason. Then, when speaking about posting of workers, there is a really special regime that we will give a quick oversight. That it's that when you are speaking about construction services, because when you are speaking about construction services, you will need an extra, let's say, we will need an extra permit, which will be the registration of the accreditation of the company that will be providing the services in Spain. This will mean that they will have to have their own prevention risks service, and they will also need the certificate for the workers on prevention on risk prevention for providing their services here in Spain. And also, one of the workers will need to be an operator. So let's say workforce, as in like there is you can't post only supervising people to be working here in Spain. You also need to post some workforce so that there is a guarantee that you won't be hiring people here in Spain as well. Also, then when we are speaking about posting from a third country, which will mean not posting workers from a non-European country, this is something very different, as you will need an immigration permit that Sandra will explain later. And you also will need a representative office here, or you will need to open a company here where our corporate team will be very glad to help out with this. And you will also need your own work contracts, and you will need to meet the labor requirements here in Spain sharply. Like there is no chance that you can have a contract in Ireland and then in Ireland, no, sorry, in the United States, and then coming to work here and not having a Spanish contract. You need a Spanish contract, and you need to inform Social Security, CEPE, and all the labor authorities regarding this kind of things. So now I'm going to pass on to immigration, where Sandra will be speaking more about this thing.
Yeah, sure. Thank you, Sarah. When we want to move an employee to Spain, we have to comply with the immigration legislation of the destination country. In this sense, in order to be able to reside and work legally here, we have two different scenarios. First one is in case the posting takes place in the European Union context. If the posting is for more than 3 months, we will need a European certificate, and we may also apply for a resident card for European family members when the posted worker is a non-European nationality people, but it's family member of a European Union. In case the posting takes place in a non-European context, several types of work permits will be applied. The main ones are: first, the intercompany transfer permit. This permit is intended for those workers transferred to Spain by companies with headquarters in another country. This way, the company could transfer workers from one company to another, allowing them to work legally in the country while they carry out a professional activity. After this one, we've got the highly qualified permit. This permit is intended for the posting workers who perform a work activity for which a higher education is required. This profile is for managers or very specific positions. Thirdly, we have the business activity permit, which is a permit created for people who come to Spain to develop a business activity, having to prove the qualification for it as well as the required information related to their project and its viability. And fourth, the new and famous digital nomad permit. So this permit is for persons with non-European citizenship who wish to reside in Spain to carry out a work or professional activity using only telematic means. The place of application will depend on where you are. So we will have another one, two scenarios. If you are outside of Spain, you must apply for the international telework visa through the Spanish consulate in your country of residence. But if you are legally here, for example, with a tourist visa, you must apply for the resident permit for international teleworkers. Additional, for the digital nomad visa, the main important requirements to fulfill are to show that the company that you work for has existed for a minimum of 1 year. For example, this can be proved with the tax return or with the certificate of incorporation duly apostilled and swan translated into Spanish. Additionally, you will need to show proof of enough economic means, which can be fulfilled, for example, with a bank certificate or with your employment contract. Additionally, an authorization signed by the company stating that your work can be done remotely. A professional or employment contract of more than 3 months. And finally, a documentation supporting the individual is a highly qualified professional with or a university degree or showing that you've got experience over more than 3 years. So in this permit, additionally, one very important thing is the social security requirement, which we will see now. Regarding the social security in Spain, this is a system, very important system, which is consist of a set of regimes through which the state guarantees protection in the situation defined by the law to the persons included in its scope of application because they carry out a professional activity or they meet the requirement of the non-contribution modality, as well as their family members. In this scenario of a posting, for the approval of the permit, the person must be covered by a private insurance, and in addition, in case there is a bilateral agreement on social security matters between the country of origin and the country of destiny, the person we will need to ask for a certificate of coverage. And what this document is about? Well, this document certifies that the employer will continue paying contributions for the workers in the place of origin, avoiding registering the company in Spain and paying contributions in Spain. However, if there's no bilateral agreement, the company must register in Spain in order to sign up the worker and be able to pay contributions for the worker within the social security system. In this sense, the certificate of coverage document exists both at the European level and outside of the European Union, but not all countries are having these bilateral agreements. So, from our Global Mobility Department, we can help companies to analyze if there's a bilateral agreement or not, and in the absence of it, we can help to register the company here in Spain and to sign up the worker within the social security system. So, in addition, as mentioned above, it is necessary to have a private health insurance contracted with a local entity here in Spain. And finally, regarding the European Union regime, it is important to take into account that we have also the S1 document, which is a document which can ensure the health insurance purposes in another state of the European Union if you are coming to Spain. So we can also help with the obtention of this document. I hope this information has helped you. And now I want to present my colleague Maria Grima from the tax department, who will explain the legislation applicable to this case in the tax field in Spain.
Hi, good afternoon. Yeah, here the important is that due to the flexibility offered by many companies to attract and retain talent, there is a risk of creating complex tax situations that requires tax assistance in Spain. Okay, so for example, in Spain, we will speak about general cases of a foreign company relocating employees to Spanish territory, for example, to a subsidiary. In that case, in Spain, you will become a Spanish tax resident if you meet any of the following requirements. The first one is to be in Spain more than 183 days in a calendar year. And the second one is to have in Spain the vital interest, okay, which means family and economic ties. As a Spanish tax resident, you can be under two regimes. The first one is the ordinary regime, okay, which applies, for example, to us. With the ordinary regime, you will be taxed on your worldwide income, regardless where you receive the income. But at the same time, we can apply dual tax treaties with the foreign countries in order to avoid double taxation. Okay. Other obligations also can apply for ordinary regimes that from Lexidy we can handle and assist you with that. The other regime, and the most interesting one for foreigners, people who come to Spain to work, it's the special tax regime, also commonly known as Beckham law regime. This regime is applicable for 6 years as long as you continue meeting the requirements. And what are these requirements? The first one is to not have been tax resident in Spain in the last 5 years prior to the year of your arrival in Spanish territory. And the second one is to move to Spain as a consequence of or a new employment contract with a Spanish company or a relocation from a non-resident company into a Spanish subsidiary, for example, or new cases are, for example, people who come to Spain working remotely or continue working remotely for foreign companies using exclusively IT utilities. And there are only other cases, okay? What is the main advantage of this Beckham law regime? That the worldwide employment income will be taxed at a flat tax rate of 24% for the first 600,000 euros, and the exceeds will be taxed at the 47%. For other income, such as rental properties, capital gains, interest, and dividends, are only taxed in Spain if the assets are located in Spanish territory. The tax rates that apply, for example, to capital gains, interest, and dividends are taxed from 19 to 28%. So this means that foreign properties and investments will not be taxed in Spain with this Beckham law regime. We have a deadline of 6 months to apply for the Beckham law regime, and this is with no extension. So it's really important that when we know the situation or the relocation, we will start all the process, which means immigration, labor, and at the same time, and in parallel, tax matters also. At the same time, you can be also non-Spanish tax resident. How? Not meeting any of the requirements mentioned above. And in that case, what happened is that you will be taxed on the Spanish source income. Okay. The taxation will depend, of course, on the country of residence. It's not the same if you are EU resident or non-EU resident. And like we will have different tax rate, but at the same time also different deductible expenses. There could be also tax implications in Spain for employer companies in some cases, okay, based on the length of the assignments, for example, to Spanish territory, or also to the functions and roles of the employees of the company who emigrate to Spain. What we can offer from Lexidy, it's a system for employees, okay, making any tax communication with the tax authorities, but at the same time preparing to meet all the necessary tax returns in Spain. Okay. The other part is that we can also assist the employer companies, foreign employer companies, to make any tax obligations that they can do in Spain, if any, such as paying withholding taxes, but at the same time, any tax advice they need. For example, what we are offering also, assisting with policies, implementing policies for relocations, okay, make any tax advice or tax calculation regarding agreements between the companies and the employees, net agreements, for example. And the last one is that we also are offering general assessment regarding tax regulations in other countries apart from Spain. So here, the main important is that we are making like all the tax regulations and all the review from all the tax perspective, but also immigration and social security perspective, in order all the teams to be coordinated and be on the same page to not miss anything in Spain regarding tax authorities and all the other authorities. But at the same time, we can also offer, with our best knowledge, the general assessment in other countries. Um, for my part, that's all. And I don't know if Sandra, you want to continue.
Yeah, we would like to have now a moment of questions and answers for you to ask whatever you need, whatever is not clear, and to be here with you resolving your doubts.
So if anyone has questions in the chat, any specific questions, any general questions directed at any one of our panel members, feel free to send them in. Um, Not seeing any right now. But in any case, we will be providing a link. Oh, let me see what is. Evident. All right, awesome. So Sikandar has just posted a link in the chat, which is for a Google form. So if you have more specific long-term questions, anything that you want to reach out to our panelists for regarding anything regarding tax, labor, immigration to Spain, please fill this in. We would be happy to put you in touch. We're happy to promote their business. They're also able to provide you services in each of these sections. We are extremely, excited to see the sort of synergies and opportunities that you guys can create here at Lexidy. Furthermore, yeah, anyone else in the chat, anyone looking to ask anything, interact? Yeah, we have a question from John. As the company owner with 10 employees based in Texas, how much time might it take? To be a company owner in Spain with employees in Texas?
Yeah, John, we're going to need a little more context. Are you talking about moving your employees to Spain or setting up business from scratch in Spain?
Or do you run a
I think
company in
that would help
Spain
us.
where you've hired remote
Yeah,
workers in Texas? Based on each of those scenarios, I
yeah,
imagine the answer might be a little bit different.
yeah. So, okay, so
Right.
John is asking, he wants to move 10 employees based in
Mm-hmm.
Texas to Valencia. How long would it take him to do so? And what are the implications from the United
Okay,
States to Spain?
yeah, in this sense, it seems like it will be interesting to open a business here in Spain, and it could be applicable an intercompany transfer. Because if you've got a headquarters in Texas and you move here to Valencia and you have companies in both countries, it will be interesting to move those employees to Spain with an intercompany transfer. That taking into account that you want to maintain the company in Texas, or do you want to move the whole company from Texas to Spain with the employees too?
Yes, he's asking how long would the process be to do either of those. So maybe walk through each. Mhm.
Step
Yeah, it will depend.
question. Hmm?
It will depend. For example, if you try to obtain a intercompany transfer permit for those employees, it can take between 3 months and 5 months because you will need to obtain the aforementioned the certificate of coverage, which can take up to 90 days.
Okay, that makes sense. Any further questions? Any in the same vein or from any different perspective? Could you mention this? Isabel is asking, could you mention the situations in which a posted employee keeps the contract in the country of origin?
Yeah, so when you are speaking about posting employees, what they are keeping the contract in the country of origin when they are hired in Spain for more than 12 months. For example, at least, well, it can be from 0 months to 18 months if there is a special motivated reason, but if not, it will only be for 12 months. Then for more than 12 months, the posting is no longer possible. So you will need to speak about an intercompany transfer or a new different posting. So this will be the situation in which you will keep the contract.
Oh, right. And in mostly in any other situation, it's unlikely for them to keep that contract. Yes.
If you're here more than 12 months, you will need a new posting, as in like the posting in that moment it's no longer valid, and you will need to have a contract here in Spain with a new company that you create, or There are different amount of possibilities, but this could be one of them. But if it exceeds 12 months, the posting is no longer possible, and you will need new options.
Okay, awesome. So we have a basic answer for Isabel, and if you're interested in following up on what your options are, you know how to reach Lexidy. You know you can reach them through our platform. You can reach them through their website. You can email any one of us, and we're happy to put you in touch with the right people. Is there anyone else with a question in a similar or different vein in regards to any of these topics? We're here, we're listening, and you can catch these experts while they're still live.
I have a question. Actually, it's about taxation. So if I wanted to, for example, I saw in the slide that there was something about a double tax treaty. Could you maybe explain what that means? What countries are you able to secure that treaty with? Is there a list of countries that you're able to do that with, or is it open for every country?
Yeah, here the important is that when we have Spanish tax residents, but companies, for example, the salaries and everything is received abroad, okay, we have tax treaties, okay. These tax treaties is signed between the government of Spain and the government of another country. So we have a list of a really long, a really long list of countries that Spain has signed already so many tax treaties. And what is this treaty saying? The students, what they're saying is one, who has right to tax, okay, if in this case it's the country of source or the country of residence, and in case both has the right to tax, they also put the methods to apply the double taxation. What does it mean? You can, for example, one of the methods, okay, it's to apply a tax credit, so deduct the taxes paid in the other country in order to avoid double taxation, for example, in Spain.
Does that answer your question, Sikandar? Do you have any follow-ups?
Yes, that does.
Okay,
I might have some follow-ups. I'll ask directly
definitely.
at a later time. But no, that definitely
Sure.
helps.
Awesome. Anyone else have any questions while they're still here? And please remember that you can always fill out the form that Sikandar has put in the chat. I'll just copy and paste it again so that anyone who hasn't seen it, you can follow up later on, send more specific questions, have a longer call, personal session, speak with Lexidy, and get to know any of these topics that find relevant to your work, your business practice. You can get more details on how to approach it, on the options you have, on all of the legal responsibilities and rights that you have while you go through that process. You can definitely follow up after this webinar as well. I think if we're not getting more questions at the moment, I'll keep an eye on the chat in case anyone does. But since we are not, I think I'll say thank you so much to our lovely and very, intelligent panelists that have come and given us so much insight into all of these very relevant and significant aspects of global mobility. We are very glad to have a working relationship with Lexidy because we believe that their services and what they do very much intersects with the kind of work that we've been trying to do and what we want to promote on our platform and in general. Um, so, as we've said at the start, we are a job recruitment platform.
And
At the end of
everyone mute themselves because
hello, hello, can you guys hear me? Can you guys hear me?
wait.
Hello,
Yeah, so I think Barbara is having a little bit of a connection issue right now. So yeah,
can
we
you guys
just
hear
wanted
me?
to take a little bit of time to um, kind of
Hello.
we can hear you, but it's very spotty. So
Oh,
just
sorry. You go ahead.
mute yourself and yeah. Yes, we can hear you. We can hear you. Yeah, so as we were saying, we wanted to plug Remoto a little bit. We have an excellent relationship with Lexidy. We've actually used them to set our business up in Spain, and we know the benefits of doing so. And we're always happy to have a second session with anyone that's interested. So definitely fill out the form if you can. It would be really helpful, not only for us but also for them, in order to make sure that we're able to bring you all of this great information. And we just wanted to take one moment to speak about Remoto. At Remoto, our mission extends beyond simplifying remote recruitment. We are an AI-driven, community-focused platform, and our goal is essentially to create opportunities and connections between people that normally may not have the ability to do so. We use AI in a very interesting manner where we basically connect the dots that normal recruitment may not be able to do. So our process has three key stages. The first one is, of course, data collection, where we basically bring a candidate into our system and we gather some data points from them. In most cases, it's very regular data in the sense that we'll be able to get your resume information, your LinkedIn, your portfolios, whether that's GitHub or Behance if you're a designer, but also combine it with non-traditional sources such as Twitch or Steam, as well as chess.com if you have an account there, to really be able to build a holistic picture of who you are. We then put you through a testing mechanism, which we call gamified testing, which allows us to verify your skills and allows you as a candidate to really be able to put your best foot forward and show progression in many different kinds of skills. And finally, of course, we have a visualization, which we call the skill tree, where you're able to put your best foot forward. Our business model is mostly B2B, and we work with small to medium sized startups to make sure they get access to the best possible talent. And through partnerships like Lexidy, we're able to expand our offering so that you're able to get many different kinds of services. In this case, potentially get help with setting up your business in Spain, understand all of the tax incentives, uh, have all of the ins and outs of immigration explained to you by a panel of experts here, as well as really understand how to stay compliant with labor laws. So, yeah, just wanted to talk a little bit about Remoto as well as augmenting what our panel of experts has spoken about today. And yeah, we're really happy to have all of you here, and we're looking forward to hopefully having more webinars like this and bringing a lot of this great content to you in the future.
Yeah, we're happy to work towards less borders, more connections, more synergies, and encouraging entrepreneurship, encouraging people that are trying to make their way in different countries. And thank you once again to our panelists. Thank you to our guests. Thank you to everyone who's been asking us questions. And once again, we are present in the community. We are present over email. You can check out all our websites. And of course, put in your email, make an account, or send us anything. We can send you further information on any of these services. So yeah, if there's no last minute questions, I think we're gonna wrap this up. Um, and yeah, thank you guys so much. Anything you guys would like to say before we sign off?
Yeah, any final words, Sandra, Maria, Sarah?
We are very thankful for this opportunity and we wish we can repeat it again, showing and sharing our knowledge with you.
Awesome. Thank you guys so much. We'll hopefully see you guys again.
Thank you, guys.